and my Thursday friend is in the studio. Always look forward to Thursdays because I spend the first 60 sizzling minutes with Senior Fellow at the New Culture Forum, Philip Kiszely. Hello, Philip.
Hi, Kev. It's great to be back in the studio.
It's always a pleasure to have you on board, and we've got lots of stories to talk about. Now, I was going to kick off on the one-in, one-out scheme because I think there's a real transparency problem here. You know, the French are sending over these migrants. You know, I'm sure the Home Office knows something about them, but we, the people, don't know anything about them. So we are now having foisted upon us unknown foreigners officially. We're used to it with the illegal migrants. Now we're getting unknown foreigners who are legal migrants because they're coming over on the ludicrously inaccurately named one-in, one-out scheme. We now hear that Britain has got the grand total of 6 migrants back across the Channel to France under this scheme, and so far France has sent us 3. We'll talk about that later, but this cropped up this afternoon, Philip, the scourge, the dreaded scourge of digital ID cards. Now, we know Tony Blair and his Labour acolytes, his socialist acolytes, have been going on about this for years. You know, they say, oh, it's just, you know, it's purely bureaucratic, it makes things easier. And now, of course, Starmer and his gang, and by the way, I hear Tony Blair whispering in Keir's ear here. This is what Blair's always wanted, and Starmer will tomorrow, in a speech, announce that it's definitely going to happen, and he'll ratify that at the conference next week. With a bit of luck, it won't get in until about 2027, and with a bit of even more luck, by then Labour will be dead, buried and gone from our ongoing nightmare. But as things stand, this, Philip, will turn this country into a Soviet-style papers, please society. This is the problem. And, you know, it is a crackdown on personal liberty. So you'll be walking down the street, cop pulls you up, papers, please. Digital, they're going to call them brick cards. Brick card, please. You know, that isn't the British way. We've never done that sort of thing. And people say, oh, they have it in America. They don't really. I mean, I lived in the States. You have to have a driving licence, even if you don't have a car, funnily enough. So you have a sort of thing. But it isn't like this. This is East Germany. This is Stalin's Russia. This is China. You know, this isn't. And so they say, well, this is gonna be the best way to solve the migrant crisis.
That's just rubbish.
It's rubbish. This is about control. This is classic socialist control. That's what it's about.
It is. It reminds me very much. I used to go to Hungary in the 1980s as a child, and this, just hearing this now, it took me right back to the Soviet-style Eastern Bloc control, that loathed authoritarian regime. It's not going to do anything of the sort. He says that this is going to control migrants. Of course it's not. These people don't have bank accounts. They're not, you know, it's nonsense. This is all the black economy. You know, if you're going to attack the migrants and migrants working and try and stop them working, you need to attack companies like Deliveroo, for example. All of these companies that, you know, we don't know anything about the people who are working for them. They're all masked up. These people just turn up on your doorstep. So I think it's that kind of thing. You can't impose something top down on everybody and think that that's going to take in illegal workers, illegal migrants and all the rest of it, because they don't live by the same rules. The problem is, the fundamental thing is, they don't live by the same rules as we do. They don't pay tax, they don't have bank accounts, they don't have mortgages, they don't care about law and order, all of those things.
Yeah, and also, as I said to Peter Carboy just now, all this will create a very flourishing, blossoming forgery industry.
It's more crime.
The forged ID cards, brick cards, will become the new thing. So every migrant that Keir Starmer says he's controlling by not giving these cards, well, they'll get them, but they'll be fake. This is purely for a classic socialist government to get control over the people. It's as simple as that.
It is, and it's so stupid, because if you if you surveyed people now, my guess is the vast majority of people would be terrified of this, because it puts people in danger. It's not British, and it's awful, but it also puts people in danger, because your data is going to be in danger straight away. You personally are going to be in danger, because all of your details are going to be kept in one big place. Okay, if a foreign power attacks that, then my God, we're all finished. That's a major problem here. The other problem is, of course, as well, is that people don't tend to understand this, especially older people who don't tend to understand technology and all of those things. So people are not making informed choices.
Yeah, so the idea, folks, as I was just saying to Peter Cardwell, in case you didn't catch that, is we will all be forced to, by law, install the government.co.uk wallet app in which will be your BRIC card. So you'll have to produce that. Now, as Philip quite rightly says, it's not just old people, a lot of old people who don't have smartphones. Loads of people choose not to have them. So how's it going to work for them?
Well, it's not going to work, is it? Clearly it's not going to work. And do you really want it? It's like a 1984 style telescreen, isn't it? It's exactly that on your phone. Tracking precisely where you are, what you're doing, what you're spending, who you're with. It's terrifying stuff.
Yeah, and it is the same. Oh, well, the thing is, it'll control the migrant crisis, because no one will be able to allow to work or open a bank account without your BRIC card installed into your government wallet app. Well, you know, do you think that these Deliveroo guys who've just come across the channel illegally, do you think they've got like national insurance numbers and it's all above board? There's rubbish. There'll still be the black economy. There'll still be people working under the radar. This is purely so that people like Blair and Starmer and all these socialist control freaks can keep tabs on us. This is all about information is power. It's that, isn't it?
Yeah, and even the propaganda, they're not even trying with the propaganda, are they? They're not even trying to sell this, because it doesn't make any sense. They're selling it on a ludicrous premise. These people, you know, it's almost as though, oh yeah, all of these illegal migrants, well, you know, they've got ISA accounts. They're worried about their 5%. You know what I mean? They're thinking about mortgages. They're thinking about settling down with children. It's ludicrous. They're not even trying with their disinformation. And do you know what? That's the really worrying thing. Actually, they don't even feel as though they have to care.
But exactly. But Tony Blair, when he was still in power in the early noughties, tried desperately to get this plan into operation, and even he felt such a kickback from the British people, who were appalled by the very idea. Even he recognised that culturally it was not possible. Such was the antipathy towards the scheme by the British people. Starmer is now saying that they have definitely detected a change of mood among millions of Brits, and now we will happily have digital ID cards. That's not true. People will be disgusted by this, and so let's talk for a second. But this is one more example of what just a catastrophically dreadful politician he is. He doesn't have to do this. He knows, he's not admitting it, but he knows that people will be furious about this. Why is he doing it?
This is on the back of all of the catastrophes, one after another, that we've talked about week in, week out on this show every Thursday. It just feels as though this is, it's like the end of days. It feels as though, you know, I think the problem is that he's thinking about the public sector. He's thinking about the institutions. He's thinking about all of these organisations that are peopled by programmed robots that vote Labour and that are identitarian and that have blue hair and that are non-binary and all of that kind of thing. That's his kind of milieu. That's the only thing he understands. Everybody else, you know, the other 65 million people in the country hate this. There is no difference. These people feel no different than how they felt 20 years ago. They want the same freedom. We are all desperate for freedom because we are pushing against against all of that other stuff.
Yeah, and I tell you, pretty soon they won't be called brick cards. Everyone will call them something that rhymes with Britain, begins with SH. That's for damn sure. And the United Kingdom march, there will be a down with the digital ID march that will make the United Kingdom march look small. People will hate this. They will hate it. And quite why start... Look, if you think about it, Philip, what crisis, what emergency, what problem is it that Starmer thinks brick cards, digital ID cards, are magically going to solve? What are the problems and the crises that these cards are going to magically solve? Nothing, nothing. Just some sort of nebulous reference to the migrant crisis because they think that will help to solve it. We don't need these. No one wants them, and all Starmer is doing here, and I bet you Andy Berman right now is rubbing his hands with glee, he is literally, not literally, don't say that, Kevin, he is banging another nail into his political coffin.
He is. I mean, and I've said this before, he has no political instinct whatsoever. He doesn't know, as a politician, he really doesn't know what he's doing. As a politician, he is a human rights lawyer, and that's probably the worst insult I could give him.
Yeah, what's it Richard Littlejohn in the Mail always calls him? He calls him Keir Starmer is a total and utter lawyer. Lawyer as insult, and there's no worse insult. We got time. Well, listen, we're going to go to break. I want to have a quick chat about this one-in, one-out scheme. I also want to talk about Sharia courts, Sharia law. Because, as I'm saying in my monologue, everyone will go, oh, God, it's so ridiculous. Donald Trump is saying, saying we're going to have Sharia law in this country. It's absolutely absurd. It's absolutely absurd. Well, as I revealed in my monologue, do you know how many Sharia councils there are in this country? 85. Yeah. They are effectively Sharia law courts. They decide on personal disputes, on marriage, divorce. This is an Islamic law system. Shabana Mahmood approves of all this. So we do have a Sharia law court system. It's, I guess, sort of subordinate to our proper legal system, but it is growing, it is flourishing, it is escalating. So it's so typical of the complacent liberal establishment in this country, laughing at Donald Trump's suggestion. There's something going on here, folks, and we'll talk about that next. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Donald Trump, we'll play you the clip in a little while. You remember, well, it's only a couple of days ago, his excellent speech, in my view, at the United Nations, where he sort of laid into Europe, particularly Britain, basically saying, well, you're destroying yourselves with your incoherent, mad net zero policies, and you're allowing yourselves to be destroyed from within by allowing all of these illegal migrants into your country. And he said that these asylum seekers are paying your kindness, our kindness, the UK's kindness with crime. And he said the Sharia law is on the way. You've got Sharia law. Now, as I said before the break, this is the complacent established, it's Donald Trump, it's ridiculous. Of course we haven't got a Sharia law. Well, there are 5 Sharia councils in East London alone. Around the country, there are 85. These are, in effect, Sharia law courts. Yeah, sure, they're not sort of ruling on, theft or murder or rape, but they are ruling on all sorts of lower disputes, like marriage, divorce, neighbourly rows, all this kind of thing. So 85 around the country. And this is escalating. This is serious. Before I get your comment, Philip, let's remind ourselves of the President's warning.
I have to say, I look at London, where you have a terrible mayor, terrible, terrible mayor, and it's been so changed. Now they want to go to Sharia law, but you're in a different country. You can't do that. Both the immigration and their suicidal energy ideas will be the death of Western Europe if something is not done immediately. This cannot be sustained.
Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, in my view, and I think Mr. Kiszely will probably agree with me, Dr. Kiszely, my apologies, just to show, you know, we have a high standard of intellect in this studio. Not this side of the desk, that side. The president is damn right. He is right on the money there. And in terms of Sharia law, 85 Sharia councils, they call them Sharia councils, that they're often kind of quasi-courts in terraced houses and things like that, where Muslims come to get their disputes settled. 85 around the country and counting. Something is going on here.
Oh, something's definitely going on, and it's been going on for a long time, and they hold real sway. They've got real power, okay, and they've got power in particular kinds of places. So the populations of places like Dewsbury and Batley, for example, they don't take our law and order seriously because they have negotiated policing anyway, okay? So, you know, it's community leaders deal with the police, but these Sharia councils dole out the real law. They dole out the law that they actually take seriously, because it's all about culture, isn't it? And what we do have is a kind of extra legal system that's running parallel with our own. So he's absolutely right. Sharia law is happening in this country, and we don't know to what extent or what they are ruling on.
And by the way, our Muslim Home Secretary, I'm not saying she approves of these Sharia councils because she's a Muslim, but it's worth pointing out that she is. But Shabana Mahmood does approve of this. She thinks it's a very good thing. Labour, I think, generally think it's a very good thing. I think that the President is right to fire a warning shot across our bows about this. I really, really do. By the way, while we're on the subject, our little pipsqueak mayor, Sadiq Khan, who you know, Donald Trump absolutely loathes him. Well, we all loathe him there. So Khan goes, I'm not going to dignify the president's attacks with a response, and he's been responding ever since. But my favourite response was, Donald Trump is. So we're going to play now, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to play right on socialist insult bingo. He called him racist, yeah! Sexist, yeah!
Islamophobe.
Misogynistic, yeah! Islamophobic, wow! Bam, bam, that's house, bingo! I think I've got the lot, He missed out transphobic, homophobic.
Well, you know.
So many more he could have tried, but it's pathetic though, isn't it?
Well, this is where you get to, right? When you start playing multiculturalism, and multiculturalism trumps everything else. So multiculturalism trumps the notion of being British. It trumps heritage. It trumps traditional values. Multiculturalism, everything. And the strongest element of multiculturalism always rises to the top and dominates everything else. And it's totally anti-democratic. It's just, you know, this is always what happens, and it's always radical Islam.
Yeah, and we're going to do this story a little later. We did it, of course, covered it last night as well, of course. There is also this suspicion, very justified in my view, that in our real courts, Muslim defendants are getting favourable treatment. So yesterday we had the case of the perfectly legal protester who burned a Quran. He's a Muslim, a disaffected Muslim. And another Muslim went home to his house. It's in Knightsbridge, he lived nearby. He went to his place, he got a knife, returned, slashed at the protester like this time and time again, kicked him to the ground, screamed to him, "It's my religion, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you." This guy walked free from court yesterday. He was not acquitted. Do you know what makes me laugh? The judge said, your crime, violent crime, threatening to kill, it clearly crosses the custodial line. Clearly. And then he sentenced him to 20 weeks in prison, suspended for 18 months. So it clearly crosses the custodial line, so I'm not going to put you into custody. I'm going to let you walk free. I mean, you know, so to go back to Sharia law, I mean, if that guy, Hamid Kuskan is the name of the guy who burnt the Quran, if he burnt the Bible, nothing would. He got fined £240 for religiously aggravated public disorder. If he was burning the Bible, nothing would have happened to him. There's a favouritism there. And to go back to Sharia law courts, Catholics don't have their own courts, or their own councils, shall we say. Jews don't have their own councils. So everybody goes, well, why are Muslims, why allowed to have their own Sharia law councils, let's call them what they are? Why are they allowed to have their own legal system? Because other religions and other sections of the community aren't.
Well, they take the religion very, very seriously, so seriously that they make other people frightened of them. And we have a custodial system, we have the police force, we have the institutions that are all frightened of Islamism. We see it every day. We see it, you know, we see it in the courts, we see it on television, we see it with the government, we see it with the failure to deal with Pakistani rape gangs because they're of a particular demographic. It just goes on and on and on, and it's so deep and it's so tragic, and it touches so many people's lives that the longer this goes on and the longer we do nothing about it, the worse it's going to get. Because what happens is young men in particular, and you can see the research from places like Policy Exchange and all of the Westminster think tanks who dealt with this stuff, young men are becoming more and more radicalised because they feel stronger and they feel as though anything they say and do they are just given a free pass, and they despise the host culture because it's so weak.
Yes, and you know, the fear of being accused of Islamophobia, that's what allowed the rape gang scandal to get worse and worse and worse. And by the way, it's pretty clear it's still going on. 250,000 vulnerable young white girl victims of the rape gang scandal all over the country. Policemen, teachers, social workers, local politicians turning a blind eye, because had they have highlighted this, had they have reported it, like the brave Maggie Oliver whistleblower, police whistleblower, the only one who had the guts to do it like she did, they were terrified that if I raise the alarm, people will call me Islamophobic. And the fear of Islamophobia, or being charged with this Islamophobia, seems to be an extremely prevalent situation in this country, and it's something we should seriously worry about. Listen, we better go to break. When we come back, Philip, we're going to talk about, as I say, the migrant crisis. I got a listener a viewer told me off last night. So you keep laughing about it. It's not funny. Well, I agree, it's not funny. But if you didn't laugh, you'd cry. And when I laugh about all this stuff, it's with contempt for the way our government, or successive governments, have made such a chaotic mess of this, and they continue to do so. So I don't find it funny, of course, but as I say, if you didn't laugh, you'd cry, and our next story definitely falls into that category. We're going to talk about the asylum seeker here, granted asylum because it's, you know, he came from dangerous Afghanistan. One of the best ways to get almost automatic asylum is to come from Afghanistan. It's a kind of almost a nod through. So it's too dangerous for me. I can't go back. You've got to give me asylum. It's my own personal safety. Of course. You could stay here forever. He's just taken an 8-week holiday in Afghanistan. He went back to Kabul for 8 weeks, and then he returned to Britain. So presumably he said, well, the 8 weeks when I was there, Afghanistan actually wasn't that dangerous, but it is again now. We'll talk about that next. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about, in a little while, later in the show, about this allegation by Nigel Farage that migrants are going into the royal parks and stealing swans and ducks and carp as well, and then taking them off to eat them. I'm not going to name the guy. Somebody said the royal parks say that there isn't any evidence that migrants are eating the carp and the swans, or are stealing the carps and the swans. He said this is probably because they've eaten them all.
Fantastic.
But I am going to talk to a friend of mine, a journalist, JJ Anisiobi, used to work here, who actually did do an investigation to this, and he will tell you, you know, don't laugh this out of court. he says it does happen. It does happen. We'll play you the famous Donald Trump. Remember when he said that during the TV debate with Kamala Harris during the campaign? What was it? They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. That was Springfield, Ohio, which is also where the Simpsons live, I do believe. Although I'm not sure real people. They're cartoon characters, a bit like Keir Starmer. Now, let's talk about this asylum seeker, the 8-week holiday. His name on social media is DG Usama. He arrived here in 2022, filmed himself on a small boat, so he came in illegally. He was on a packed dinghy, one of 2,143 migrants who crossed in the month of April 2022. And he's so praise be to God, praise be to Allah and all that. He posted this video. Anyway, he then took to posting on social media lots of pictures of him in front of landmarks, Tower Bridge, Canary Wharf, Brighton Beach. Well, good for him, enjoying his new country. Anyway, in September 2024, he posted a video from Kabul where he was enjoying an 8-week holiday. So his case to stay here, Philip, was my home country is dangerous. It's a threat to my personal safety. And as I said earlier, oh yeah, I've just seen the Sun's brilliant headline. I must admit I didn't say a cock and Kabul story. Well done to the Sun. It's still got it. Anyway, so he said it was too dangerous for him, and yet then in 2024 he went back for an 8-week holiday and then returned to Britain. The Home Office says it's investigating this. The Home Office yesterday said it's investigating the fact that migrants are being ferried by Mercedes taxis 250 miles, 600 quid fares to go and see doctors. They're investigating this. The Home Office is investigating one hell of a lot of abominations, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, you said before it was a comedy of errors. It is, and we are laughing at this, but we're laughing at it because it is just so grotesque, I think is the right word for it. We've been through, in a way, the tragedy phase. We've talked right across the culture about gang rape, about sexual assault, about murders, about all of that kind of terrible stuff from illegal immigrants and immigrants coming into this country. We know all about the stats. Now we're at this kind of farcical phase, and it's really depressing because it's so stupid. I feel more than ever almost powerless to do anything or even say anything meaningful about it because it's so stupid. And that's the insult. You know, it almost feels, I said before, it feels like we're at the end of days. I was thinking about all the stories we're talking about tonight, and it really does. This is how things just peter out. They peter out into stupidity. They don't necessarily go with a bang. So we're at this terrible stage where we really do need to do something about this because it's shocking. We are becoming absurd, and the way we do it. I mean, just sorry to keep going on about it, Kev, but
that's what you're here for.
I'm steaming. Steam's coming out my ears here. The way to do it is to stop the impetus. You know, stop the benefits, for God's sake. You know, the stuff you were talking about yesterday. Again, it's this other absurdity. This kind of stuff as well. They can go and come back. Yeah. Well, they simply can't come back.
By the way, you know what I said about? So this guy came in 2022, and I said about Afghanis regularly get just nodded through until 2023. Guess what? The percentage of Afghanis granted asylum was 99%. 99% of people from Afghanistan were granted asylum, and this guy, DJ Usama, was one of them. But let me know what you think about this, folks. But mostly, what I'd like you to call up about, and obviously a lot of people are, how do you fancy a digital ID card? How do you fancy Britain becoming a Soviet-style dystopia where the police will stop you and say essentially, papers, please? It's like one of those 1960s spy movies. This is Soviet-style assaults on our liberty. These are socialists, these people who are running the country right now. This is the sort of stuff they like. They see the people, the state is all powerful, and the people must be subservient to the state, and in order to facilitate that, the state must keep tabs on the people. So they'll give us all a number, and it'll be on our little cards. Papers, please. And you know, Julia Hartley-Brewer, love her to bits, and a very forthright lady. She's just not going to have one. I just won't do it. Well, that's my emotion through and through. You know, if there's any way of wheeling out of this, I won't be doing it. However, unless somehow or other this madness, this assault on our freedom can be stopped, it will be the law. So you have to, you have to obey the law, folks. So we'll have to do this. But as we said earlier, what about if you haven't got a mobile phone? Very keen to hear from anyone if you haven't got a mobile phone and you don't want one. But let me know what you think about the idea that Britain, under Keir Starmer, Starmer's broken Britain, will soon, if he has his way, well, he will get his way because he's got a huge majority, will be a country in which you will have to have your papers, you will have to have your official government ID, your number, your state number, to show the police, to get a job, to open a bank account. They say it's going to solve the migrant crisis because illegal migrants won't get them. Yeah, they will. They get forged ones. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. This is about left-wing socialists wanting to keep tabs on the proles, the serfs, the people of this country. I think we've got to protest for all we're worth about this, for all we are worth. I really do feel that, passionately. What do you think, folks? What can we do about this? And I'm not advocating breaking the law, I am advocating that we protest from the bottom of our hearts and we let this automaton, this shark-eyed little autocrat who runs this country, technocrat, Keir Starmer, we let him know the strength of our feelings. Let me know how strong you do feel about this, because I'm certain you do. 03444991000. We'll take a break from all of this madness when we come back, and we'll segue into another type of madness, and that is Britain's mad, crazy welfare system. Unbelievable statistics for you coming up. Stay tuned. Let's talk. We'll be talking about the migrant madness. Let's now talk about the welfare madness in this country. Labour have opened the benefits floodgates, particularly to disability benefits being awarded for anxiety and mental health issues. So ever since they came into power, check this out, a staggering 250 people every day have been awarded disability benefits for anxiety. This is according to a study, a research by the Centre for Social Justice think tank. 44,000 Brits have landed PIP payments. What's that stand for again? Remind me. Personal income.
I can't remember what it's called now.
Anyway, you know what it is. My producer will tell me in a minute. He's not even watching the show. He's reading the papers. Are you watching a different show? What does PIP stand for? Remind me. PIP payments. This is a well-oiled machine, very well-oiled. I think they've all been down the personal independence payment. That's very well-oiled machine. They've all been down the pub for 6 hours. Personal independent payments. Anyway, so 44 Brits have landed. 44,000 Brits have landed PIP payments for anxiety during Starmer's disastrous premiership. Disability payments have now soared to a record high, with 633,000 people claiming for anxiety and mood disorders by July this year alone. By this 633,000 by July this year. So that's the first year of Labour. This think tank Centre for Social Justice, they say that Rachel from Accounts, the useless Chancellor, could save, that they're all useless. It's not really worth saying useless Starmer, useless Rachel from Accounts, is it? We're taking it as read. Goes without saying they're all useless. But anyway, Rachel from Accounts could save £7 billion by reforming mental health benefits and getting 120,000 young people back into work. In other words, we are allowing far too many young people to just go off work for mental health and anxiety. I'm not trying to undermine genuine serious anxiety, mental health problems, but it seems to me clear that we're being pretty relaxed about who qualifies for this. And there's another awful statistic. More than 200,000 young men have been signed off work for life with no requirement to ever look for a job. We can't afford this, can we?
It's extraordinary.
Yeah.
I mean, that's extraordinary. That is depressing. If you want depression, that's depressing.
That's giving me anxiety.
Well, one of the things about anxiety is it's just so difficult to quantify, and it isn't all bad. Some anxiety is actually quite good for you because it makes you do things. It makes you achieve. You know what I mean? If you're under a little bit of pressure, that's not necessarily a bad thing. And the worst thing you can do if you're depressed or anxious is just stay at home. You know,
yeah.
The best thing you can do is get out and do things.
Work is good for you, and it's not just financial. It's good for your mental health, folks. It seriously is.
A little bit of stress is good. You know, you achieve things. That's how it used to be. But everything now is pathologized. Everything just, anything that is about living and that is about achieving and is about any kind of conflict is bad, and that is wrong, because that you can't. All you do is just stay at home and rot away if that's the case. And unfortunately, that's what's happening with so many people.
Well, my doctor said to me the other day, he said, "Do you suffer from stress at all?" I said, "Well, about every day."
You're not kidding.
About every day since I was about 18. From the moment I get up to the moment I go to bed. Yeah, I get a lot of stress. But there you go. But we can't afford this, can we? We can't afford this. This is, there's just handing out money to pretty much anyone who asks. 231,000 young men aged between 16 and 29 are now on universal credit with no requirement to look for a job for the rest of their lives. This is according to the Department of Work and Pensions, so these are official statistics.
Well, we're developing a kind of basket case culture for ourselves, and if you think about those young men, and we know about young men who are depressed, they are the demographic who will be most prone to actually killing themselves, right? So if they are staying at home, the government is giving some of those young men a death sentence because they will get more depressed, they will get more anxious, their self-esteem will go through the floor because they're not working and they don't have to do anything. It's the worst possible scenario for people who have low self-esteem. Now, there will be some scroungers, but there will be some people there who desperately need connection with people. They desperately need to feel as though they are contributing, doing something, and the government is actually stopping them doing that.
Yeah. See, the thing is, on a very basic level, this is true. These things I know. I think Philip knows it as well. There's nothing like a pint of beer or a drink after you've done a hard day's work. But if you aren't working at all and you just go and have a pint or a drink, there's something very unsatisfying about that. It's the same thing, weekends when you got the day off. You've earned your money. Now you
earn it.
You've earned your money. Now you can enjoy yourself with a feeling of satisfaction. And these people, and I tell you where it all started, in my view, or where this welfare culture got a lot worse, was the COVID crisis, the so-called COVID crisis, where people stopped going to work. The mindset of this nation, this formerly hard-working nation, Brits were hard-working people. Work hard, play hard, that was our culture. Along came the COVID crisis, and for 2 years or so, millions of people didn't have to go to work. they were just paid by the furlough scheme. Remember Rishi Sunak?
I remember it well, yeah.
Rishi Sunak kept extending it. Oh, this is good. People like this. Well, of course they do. You don't have to go to work. You get money. But in my view, and I think I'm right, it recalibrated the mindset of the British people, and we went from being a work-oriented nation to the kind of nation that is full of people who just don't want to go to work. They don't like the idea. It's sort of, oh, well, you know, I don't want to get up in the morning.
Well,
you know.
It's impacted massively on young people, very young people, because they don't know any different, right? But there's something about that, and what happened was that work was almost kind of redefined as being somehow harmful, right? And a bit of stress is actually good for you, and you need stress to do jobs sometimes. My God, you've got an incredibly stressful job, right? And if you said, well, I can't have any stress, but if you said I mustn't have any stress, you simply couldn't do your job, right?
Yeah. As I was suggesting in the office that I could do more work. So if I could stick a broom up my backside, I could sweep the floor at the same time. Because you know, I do have to do a lot of work, and it is quite stressful. But you know, to be honest with you, in the end, I enjoy it. I enjoy that. I enjoy being busy. I enjoy the stress of it. And I think that a lot of these people, these young men in particular, who think they got away with it, don't have to go. They don't know what they're missing.
No, they're storing up a lifetime of misery, and that is the really tragic thing.
Yeah, and economically, of course, you know, having millions of people, you know, drawing money from the state is disastrous for our economy.
Yeah. It's like I say, we're building a basket case culture and society for ourselves, and it works on so many levels. It's personal, it's societal, it's cultural, and it's economic. And my problem is that I can't see into the future because of it, because I don't know how we can continue along this road.
Yeah, and this, by the way, let's stress, you know, we're not against the welfare state. We're not against benefits for people who deserve it. Millions of people. This is the great thing about a great country like Britain. We look after the vulnerable people who need it. The fact of the matter is 100% now, many people who are getting very generous benefits actually are kind of gaming the system. They don't really need it. So we need to get back to giving benefits and welfare to people who genuinely need it, and be a lot more strict about people who come in saying they're suffering from anxiety and mental health. What do you reckon?